Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, responding to your comments. We've received over 15,000 comments already here in 2019, and I'm the voice of college football, but this only works because of you, your contribution, your engagement, your analysis in response to mine, your requests, your suggestions. So I appreciate the comments. Of course, hit the like button, subscribe, and share the videos as well. It all works toward building the channel and providing even more content, better content, and building the channel. Yes, let's get to the comments right here over the last several days. So let's start with Barry Walker's comment from 40 minutes ago. It's in response to our conversation concerning Jalen Hurts taking over at quarterback for Oklahoma. Use effing common sense, D-heads. Yeah, I'm not going to respond to that comment, nor am I going to keep it on the channel. Clean it up, Barry. We appreciate your contribution, but clean it up just a bit, or maybe a lot. If there's any profanity here, cuss words, I'll keep a few. But if it goes over the line, and what is that line? That line is determined by me, then I'll eliminate the comments. But thank you for the contribution and the engagement. Just that garbage is not going to stay here on my channel. All right, we've got Christopher Freeman. I think Georgia is going to start winning those matchups versus Bama. I'm a big-time Clemson fan. I love the Tigers, but I wouldn't mind seeing Georgia get their second title. I have a lot of Georgia coworkers here in Atlanta, so forth and so on. Well, Christopher never really gives us an idea of why he thinks that Georgia will start winning these matchups with Alabama. Of course, they've played them twice in the last 2 years in a national championship game and an SEC championship game. And Georgia certainly showed that they can play with Alabama. They can stay on the same field and really outplay them most of the game, but they just didn't get the right coaching and the right coaching decisions and calls at the right time to win the games. And the players let down as well late in the ball game in overtime and in the win, the comeback win by Jalen Hurts last year. So, Christopher, not necessarily a reason why Georgia is going to come back, but I appreciate the comment, and it certainly makes sense that at some point, if Kirby Smart continues to recruit and coach at this level, that Georgia will knock down the door. Alan Wang is suggesting that we talk to Lance in Jasper. He's an expert for Florida. I have no idea who Lance in Jasper is, but I definitely want your recommendations and suggestions on who to bring on the show as guests of Mark Rogers TV. And we've got a string of comments from Yasin. This one in particular in response to the top 10 non-conference games post for 2019. I love how Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU, and Florida are challenging themselves by facing these good out-of-conference teams. And then you've got Alabama facing off against mighty Duke at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yes, Alabama needs to step it up when it comes to non-conference play. I know in previous years that they've played a lot of neutral site games against Michigan, Wisconsin, Virginia Tech, and the like. West Virginia when they lost 5 games. But they are not consistently playing the elite teams in college football in non-conference. And they also need to go on the road. They need to go on the road. And for anybody who comes at me and says, as they often do, well, they didn't know that Louisville was going to be awful in 2018. They didn't know that Duke's not necessarily going to be good this year. Okay, let's play it straight here. No, we can't see into the future 5 and 10 years. But we generally know that if you schedule Ohio State, if you schedule Oklahoma, if you schedule Washington over the last several years, if you schedule certain teams, you're going to most likely get a certain opponent even 5 years later. Now, you can't predict across the board how everyone's going to show up on that particular season. But when has Duke been at Alabama's level or anywhere close to Alabama's level? When has Duke been a top 25 team? Wow, one time in 2013, they squeaked into the top 25. Do not schedule Duke. I don't have an issue actually with Alabama scheduling Duke, but schedule somebody else. Be USC. Be Notre Dame. Be somebody else that actually schedules more than one difficult game. That's what Alabama should do. Louisville, yes. We didn't know 3 or 4 years ago that Louisville was going to be awful, a 2-win team in 2018. But when is Louisville 11-1? Never. Almost never. Louisville's going to go 7 or 8 wins, and that's what Alabama's going to face is their marquee game. That's pitiful. Yasin says, I love this channel. Minnesota-Fresno State is going to be a fun matchup, but considering how young our team was last year as a Minnesota fan, Yasin, and how much Fresno State lost, I think we'll win comfortably. My only concern is that it is at Fresno, so hopefully the time zones don't goof us up. And we've got our array of comments, as usual, from George. George, thanks so much. If I get to one that I actually can read, I will read it here on my comments response video. You went on a bit of a rant on Friday night that was a bit comical, and I held back. I did respond to one of them, but you were obviously upset about something that happened on somebody else's channel and kind of took it out on me as well. But George, we're good. We are good. You have contributed so much and comment more than anyone. So I should probably make it SOP here at Mark Rogers TV in my response videos that I always mention George, because he is number one on the comment list by far. There are no challengers. Clemso Nation chiming in with keep up the great work, loving the content. And this is the first time that I've heard from Clemso Nation. So, of course, it's a big welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Thank you so much. I can guess that you're a Clemson fan. Would love to know how long you've been watching. We launched our series breaking down quarterback battles across the country with our look at USC, JT Daniels versus Jack Sears. Scotty Marvel writes, no battle as long as Helton dumbass is coach. Daniels is the love of his life. I know USC fans were not happy with, many were not happy with JT Daniels being given a long rope last season in which he completed 56%, 14 touchdowns, 10 picks. He was a true freshman, and the offensive scheme has changed, and the offensive line was not the best. He did have a skilled set of receivers to work with, certainly. We will see if JT Daniels fulfills expectations. But I would think that, yes, while it was a disappointing year from a win standpoint and from a production standpoint for JT Daniels, there certainly was enough there to see that he could fulfill the expectations and not necessarily let down Trojan Nation long term. But I have heard this from a number of USC fans that they think Clay Helton is in love with JT Daniels. We shall see. If he falters again, much like Malik Rozier at Miami and Mark Richt staying with Malik Rozier time and time again with substandard play, we'd have to see that play out for me to be convinced of that here in 2019. Monster32 writes, more LSU content, Mark. Yes, Monster32 and others who have been asking for LSU, and we have provided quite a few LSU posts since the end of the college football season. Yes, I will deliver LSU. Hang tight, hold tight. There's going to be a scheduling preview. There's going to be positional breakdowns on LSU football. Certainly we'll have Matt Moscona in, hopefully from ESPN, as we typically do. And also Billy Gomilla from SB Nation to talk LSU football, and I'll provide discussion and debate and analysis myself on LSU here very soon. Hang on. Our man Lamar Stevens writes in, Mark, Lou, would you agree that some quote-unquote game managers are field generals and some are just shepherds? We may want to clean up the typing on shepherds. It's a bit of a typo there, but I got it. Some drive the offense, and some just ride along with the offense play calls, and some sink or crash their offense. Fromm and Burrow drive the offenses and help their teams attack defenses. Danny Etling was a game manager. He just wasn't a threat at all. Burrow wins or loses shootouts every gun he's got. I appreciate a quarterback with that attitude. Okay. Joe Burrow stepped onto campus the first week of August. It took him time to get acclimated to the offense, to his teammates, to the culture at LSU. I think we need to cut him a bit of a break. He performed admirably, starting with week 1 against a quality defense in Miami. He didn't light it up. They don't run that kind of offense. So part of it's Joe Burrow not necessarily possessing that dynamic of a skill set, but also it's the offense at LSU that's going to contain him, just like at Georgia, as Lamar points out. Jake Fromm, though, my sales point on Jake Fromm came back at in the national semifinals against Oklahoma at the Rose Bowl, in which they needed a touchdown. Oklahoma was leading. There was about 4 or 5 minutes left to play, and Jake Fromm took it upon his shoulders, and he made some excellent throws under duress and led the team down for the tying touchdown against Oklahoma in the college football playoff. Now, you have to do that repeatedly, but Jake Fromm has had very few missteps. Now, again, he's supported by the defense and the running game and dynamic receivers on the outside. Yes, he's got the supporting cast, and the offensive line was extremely good last year. So these guys are capable, really good quarterbacks. Yes, we can throw around terms like game managers and field generals. A game manager is a guy that plays in a system that is run first, pass second. Also, it may involve a limited passing game in regards to the number of reads he needs to make, or downfield throwing, where he's not asked to make NFL kind of throws downfield. He's not relied on for his arm, but just to get the team set up right and just to be poised and to make the throws when he needs to on 3rd and 5. And I think that both of these guys would fit somewhat into that category, but let's not take it to an extreme. Especially with Joe Burrow, I would like to see him play one more season to see if being in the system for a full cycle calendar may make him a much better quarterback here in 2019 than when he showed us in 2018. Poppy D responding to our Texas conversation with Steve Helwick from the Daily Texan. You guys are an absolute joke. So, Poppy D, are you talking about you guys? We're a joke? Texas is a joke? Okay, I'll not take it personally. Texas won by a field goal, and you bums think they are going to beat the world. You suck! I've got to read this comment from Emmanuel Moreno, who provides a number of comments in response to USC football videos, and he seems well educated on the topic. And Emmanuel, I appreciate your consistent support. Mark Rogers, no D. Emmanuel, no D. Get the D out of there. JT Daniels has by far been the best quarterback in SEC's roster. And again, I can't clean up all the typos while I'm reading. No other quarterback has the talent or the ability to grasp the offense so quickly. According to Rivals and Scout, this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. JT needs to be the starter. That way he and his wideouts offensive line can build a strong rapport. Also, it would help JT with getting even more comfortable with calling audibles. Yes, JT Daniels played the bulk of last season. He played every game excluding the Arizona State game. The team was down. The offensive line was bad. I questioned the play calling, and I usually am not a guy that runs to the play calling to say, you guys screwed it up, you're not very good, because those guys are football experts. They're coaches. They are way beyond our knowledge level. But I think it does say something when in 2 consecutive seasons, USC, despite a dynamic offense 2 years ago with Ronald Jones and Sam Darnold and Michael Pittman and company, were one of the worst, meaning one of the 3 worst red zone offenses in college football. That speaks to decision-making and scheme in certain situations in a tight field, a small, condensed field. Justin Firm chiming in with his helmet picks of Penn State and Oregon. So I want to remind everyone that we've got our helmet voting in play until April 15th. I'll count up the votes on April 15th, and whichever teams receive, 2 teams receive the most votes, I will purchase those helmets. Now, keep in mind, back in the community section of the channel, I had at least, at last count, 32 people comment and let me know what helmets they want me to purchase. Okay, there's a problem with that. You need to read the post. Number 1, I said, do not comment to this post. Leave your comments in the comment section of any of the videos, because when I run down the comments of the videos, this is what I see. I don't want to be running back to the community section of the channel page, number one. Number two, I even clearly stated the 16 teams that are already represented, and I still had suggestions for helmets for the teams that I already have. So, again, number one, leave your helmet request in the comment section of any of the videos. And number two, make sure I don't already have it. A number of people responded back to our conversation concerning Texas football and the early point spreads that have come out from Vegas. A 17-point underdog is Texas against Oklahoma, 3-point favorite against Texas Tech, and a full touchdown underdog against LSU, which I thought was ludicrous. Really, all three lines I disagree with, but especially Oklahoma at minus 17, and also as the home team against LSU being a full touchdown underdog. A number of people responded as well. I'll read the one comment from Deuce X Sports. 17 is crazy, but OU will be better and keep our crown. David Isaacson responds, OU is replacing, what, 4 offensive linemen? Curious to see what Hurts can do without the talent that Alabama fields every year. So he's going to have the same talent on the outside with the receivers, but not necessarily yet. Running back, although Trey Sermon's really good and Rodney Anderson comes back, but the offensive line may be downgraded from what has been one of the best offensive lines in America over the past few years in Norman. 17, way too much. As I pointed out during the video, going back to 2012, Oklahoma has won all one-score games, including a Texas win, 2 Texas wins, 48-45 this past season, and also a 36-20 win over an Oklahoma team that made the college football playoff. And now this is the best Texas team that we will see since 2009, since they went to the national championship game, and suddenly they're a 17-point dog against the team that barely beats them every year when they're down. I hope you caught the video posts on our ranking of every coach in every conference. So in all the 5 major conferences, we rank the coaches from 14 or 12 or 10 all the way up to number 1. Adam, the sports guy, writes in concerning our rundown of the ACC, where I ranked Manny Diaz last. Does that mean I think that he's going to be the worst coach in the ACC? Probably not long term, but my approach was that he's never been an FBS head coach before, let alone at that program or in the Power 5, an FBS coach, never. And also that I took the approach that I was ranking based on putting the new guys at the bottom of the league, unless there was a situation in which I thought there were underachieving coaches, blatantly underachieving, failing, and then I would rank those coaches higher, the new head coach above the coaches that were failing, i.e. in the Big Ten, I downgraded the likes of Chris Ash at Rutgers and Lovie Smith at Illinois and gave them bad grades. Also Tom Allen, so I propelled the likes of Ryan Day in particular above those coaches that I thought were underperforming. I did the same thing in the ACC, but I just didn't see the opportunity with anybody that was severely underperforming, aside from Willie Taggart, just with 1 year under his belt at Florida State. So I placed Manny Diaz to start at number 14, and Adam writes, I have no problem with ranking Manny last as long as you ranked Kirby Smart as the worst coach in the SEC for 2016. I would have to go back and look at those rankings. I don't know. But again, I would have taken the approach that Kirby Smart would have been last in the SEC in 2016, in addition to other first-year head coaches at that point, but also with a caveat that if I felt that there were underachieving coaches in the SEC at that point, that I would have ranked Kirby above them. Most notably, at the top of my head at the time would have been Derek Mason, and possibly Kevin Sumlin, and possibly Brett Bielema at Arkansas. You have to make guys prove it on the field. That being said, I rank Mac Brown ahead of Manny because Mac has done it in the past. But damn, it was a long time ago. I would put Mac ahead of Manny and Collins, and I would consider him ahead of Taggart, but I couldn't see putting him any higher. Thanks for the comment, Adam. To date, we have received 16,276 comments to the main channel, Mark Rogers TV College Football. I want to thank everyone out there for liking the videos, commenting, subscribing, share the videos as well. If there's a particular team, conference, subject that you see and you think, hey, the people that I know on social media would like to see this, would like to get in on the discussion, the debate, the analysis, hey, share the videos. I would appreciate it. Let's build the channel. Of course, we can only do this because of you. Otherwise, this won't exist if it doesn't thrive and continue to grow. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you soon, and keep those comments coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming.